everyone, it's Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and as you can see it's a piece of furniture, so it must be Friday. I am partway through doing this huge hutch and got lots more to do, so I will not be finished it today, but I wanted to show you a few techniques on here that I have done before on many different pieces, but I'd like to show you how I do it on a piece of furniture because I've been asked many times, how do you do that? And it would be nice for the person to see it done on a piece of furniture because that's usually what they're asking. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of things on this, and it's hard for you to see because of the distance, but bear with me. On the back here I've got like a board. It's like a bead board, so it's kind of like thin plywood that's got the the lines in it to make it look like it's, I'll bring it closer, let you see if you can see what I mean. There you go. So I'm going to do the fake, can you see that? The fake wood look with the IOD stamp. So that's what I'm going to do first, but I've done this many times, but I'm doing it a slightly different, a little bit of a difference, and I wanted to show you this part of it because I think it makes a huge difference. When you're trying to age a piece of furniture, you don't want it to look freshly painted or freshly stamped. So I'm going to be going ahead and using the IOD plank stamp and the IOD ink. I'm using the Greystone ink on this to just give it that little bit of the look of wood planks just on the back. So I'm going to be doing that soon. If you like what you see and you want to learn more or be inspired in doing a piece of your own, please hit subscribe, and in the comments say hello, and if you're watching on replay, please can you put in the comments #replay and let me know what you think. And if you've got any questions, again, put them in the comments and I will then go through them and answer any questions you have. So I'm just popping on, it's not my usual time, it's kind of a weird week. This is the stage I was at with this piece of furniture, and I figured I would show you as I go along rather than wait until 4 o'clock this afternoon and doing a live. So I'm going to get going on this, and I'm just going to be kind of a little bit in front of you here. As I say, I'm going to be putting some ink directly onto this stamp as I usually do. So bear with me that. I'm not getting it particularly juicy, but I am making sure I cover everywhere on the stamp with the ink. So get it as juicy as you like, but the main goal is to get it covered. And I'll show you why. I want it to look like wood, but I don't want it to look freshly inked. So once I've got it nice and juicy, I am now on a piece of, newspaper. I'm just going to do that first, pressing down to get rid of extra ink. So I've just taken off some of the ink. And what I'm going to be doing is going in here and just pressing right at the back here, at the top, pressing down onto the piece directly with the ink. Try not to shift like I just did then. Try not to shift. Push down, and as I say, it's going to be rustic anyway. And the piece of wood is slightly bigger than what my stamp is, so I'm going to go back on, do the sides, and then back on and do the bottom. And I want it to kind of look like rustic wood. That's what I'm trying to achieve. Let's see if I can show you. So there's the first one. Go back and I will do the next one. I'm going to get it nice and juicy. Making sure you've got the ink everywhere. And I did take this plank off the backing. I don't usually, but because I'm kind of getting into a tight space, I needed it more bendable. So I'm just going to lightly push it down on the newspaper to get off any excess ink because I don't want it to look freshly inked. And then going in here, this one's a little thinner, so get it at the bottom here, and then just press down in the areas you want it to show the wood. So basically you're going to press down to push in the ink. And back up at the top here just to get the top in. That's why, as I say, I took it off the back in just so I could get into these tight little spots at the top and the bottom here. And then we've got the wood look. Again, I will bring you in closer to show you. And I'm going to continue going through that and doing that many times. What I'm going to do next, though, to show you the next step for what I would do, is I'm going to use this little knot one and do the same thing. I'm going to just get it nice and juicy because I want it covered everywhere in the ink. But I don't want it too juicy, so I'm just going to lightly take some off and then put in a knot, I think, here. You don't want too many knots on one piece of furniture. It looks fake. You don't want that look. Push it down. You want to make it look subtle because, as I say, we're trying to make this piece look old. And there we go with the knot. You want to make it look like it's been there a little while. And then we're going to go in with this one here to show a cut line, but I'm going to go really subtle on this. So bear with me on this one. I'm going to just put a little bit of ink on. Barely any ink on, and what I've done is I've just put the ink along the bottom where the line is and just up a little bit, and not even a perfect line, just a little bit. I'm going to take some off on the newspaper and then go back in and just put it along the edge. And just get a little bit of a line. And then also I want to go back in, and I've done this a few times. I'm just going to rub my finger with the ink pad to get a little bit of ink on my finger. And I'm just going to go along the ridge of the line, just to enhance that line. And I do it with my finger because it gives a little bit of a smudge look rather than a full line look. I'll do it again on this one. Make sure you wash your finger after, but and do that part there. Now I'm going to make sure, I'll bring you in closer so you can see exactly what I've got going on here. And then the bottom part here, I've done the same thing. And that's just for the back of this hutch. Show you, if I can, the whole hutch here. And what I'm going to do next is just show you some of the waxing that I do with the hutch. So I'm going to do a little bit of waxing. And what I use first is the clear. So I go in with a larger brush. I just use a chippy brush. I do intend to get some better waxing only brushes, but right now I'm just using a chippy brush. And I'll go in and do the clear first in the area I'm working on. And I like to do a little bit of an area at a time because I want to get a certain effect, and it's nice to do it while you can use the clear wax so it's more movable and a little more subtle. So we're just going to do this door. So on this piece of furniture, I have done 3 coats of linen white chalk paint. I have distressed with sandpaper, and on the bottom part where this top of it, the doors and these shelves, I have put clear poly, because those are the areas that on a piece of furniture are going to be used, touched, and things put on them more. So I like to put a clear on there first to cover it and protect it, and then as it's a piece of furniture, it's going to be used quite a bit, so I wanted those parts to be well sealed. Alright, so next I go in with the black wax. So we are going to go in, I have this one, black wax, and I just use, as I say, tiny little cheap brush, and I just go into the crevices, just into the lines to get some depth, and then doing it darker in the corners and a lighter touch in the middle, making sure you really kind of show off the lines of the corners. As I say, do quite a lot along the corners, and then if you've got it too thick anywhere, just go back in with a lint-free cloth and just pull back a little bit where you have maybe a little too much, and then just go along again, and then just basically smudging it out to the middle. Keep going along. As I say, put in lots in any corners you have. Like up here, we want to show a little bit of a shadowing, and then we have a corner too. Well, a couple of corners here. And a corner here. And then blend it out lighter as you go along. I'm just doing it in areas right now that you guys can see, so you can see the technique I'm doing. And as I say, this is just the black wax. And if you have it in areas that is a little too thick, you can wipe off with your rag. Make sure you blend out so it's nice and blended. And then I would do this everywhere, but right now I'm just showing you this spot because this is what you can see. So I'm going to go in next. Hey Marsha, how are you doing? I'm going to go in with the antique wax. This is more of a brownish colour. What I like to do with this one is use it as an aging. So the brownness of this one, I load up my brush, take some off, and I go back in the areas where I did the black, and I just go over it randomly, especially in the corners, and I find the black gives it depth and the antique wax gives it age. And as I say, go heavily on the corners and then lightly spread it out. As I say, I've been asked many times about this, so I figured I'd show you as I'm doing a piece of furniture right now. A little heavy there, so I'm just going to wipe it back because I just want the edges. go up here. We've got a corner here, so we want to go in quite heavy in the corner. I find the actual depth of the black and the brown gives it some deepness of the corners. And then bringing it down and out. And then go back in. I wasn't going to do a live today. Hi Jackie, how are you doing? Yeah, I wasn't going to do a live today. It's been one of those weeks, but I just happened to be doing this right now anyway. This is a piece I'm working on. So I figured why not do it, just showing what I'm working on as I'm doing it. And anyone that couldn't see it live can always look on replay and just check. As I say, just going back over in areas that you're doing and then feather it out as you go along. I will bring you in closer so you can see and try and get the angle of what we're trying to achieve. Bring you down, and as I say, it's starting to give age, and any areas that are a little on the heavy, I just go back in and just blotch a little just to take away the newness of the wax. You don't want it anywhere to look like you've just done it. You don't want any perfect lines. You just want shadowing. And then step back, have a look. Right now, I love the areas I've done. It just looks a little odd because I haven't done everywhere yet, but when this whole piece is done, it's going to look really nice and old, and you're going to go in with this every line and corner on it just to give it some age, because right now it's very bright white and you want to give it age. So I'm going to go over in different areas. So I will show you here on black. This is where we did some of the stamping. Just go along into the grooves, along the edge, up, and then again at the top here. A little too much wax on, hold on, I don't like it gloopy. Go along the top and down, and then just feather it out. And then with the brown, you're going to do the same thing. Going to go along the bottom and up, along the top and down. And then go back in with your cloth and just dab it so it's not a perfect line. It's very subtle. And it gives it some age. And I'll try and bring you in close so you see that. And for the inside, hold on. There you go. So we've even given that a little bit of age. And I will be doing that along the whole thing. And in between, I will do the clear wax. So work with it, have fun with it, and we'll go along and try and finish this door. So let's see. I'm going to go in with the black. And then smooth out as you go along and up. And then the corners. Make sure you do the corners quite dark and work your way up. Almost like you're painting a picture. Just feather it, enjoy it, make it smooth. And enhance the corners. Any detail, make sure you enhance. And any parts that you know there would be natural shadowing, which would be in any crevices, you do your natural shadowing. And again, just lots in the corners to give it that aged look, and then along any distinct lines of the actual piece of furniture. If it's got lines, go with them. Then go back in with the brown in the areas you did quite heavily in the corners with the brown. Gives it lots of age. You can use your fingers to go up, or you can use dab with a rag, because you don't want a complete line. You want to feather out what you're working with, and going back up a little heavy there, taking that away, back in, and feather out as you go up and as you go along. Back in again here. So as I say, I use the black for shadowing any areas or showing any crevices, any kind of shadowing, and I use the antique brownish colour to give an aged look. And we have here too much of a line, so I'm going to go back in and just dab and then up you go, and just back in. That's better. Always step back, see how you're doing with what you're working with, and there you go. And in between you've got the clear. What you can do also with the clear, I've got some clear on this big brush here. If you find it's too heavy in places, go in with the clear, and that quite often erases a lot of your line. So then if you've got too much, you can also use the clear to erase what you did and then go back in and redo it. Or it can just make it a little more subtle. So you can use the cloth, or you can go in, as I say, with the clear and just soften too. So different ways of using the wax. And there you go. So I have today, let's take this out of your way, I have this huge whole hutch that I'm going to be completing. That's what I'm going to be working on today. And then let it cure overnight, and then I will do some pictures. And that's how I do the aged look on a piece of furniture. So I figured I'd pop on as I'm doing this just to show you the technique of what I do and how I do it. And then they're all the same. It's a Behr one, so it's one that I get from Home Depot. It's a Behr brand, and it's an antique wax. And I've got a white wax, I've got a clear wax. As I say, it's the Behr brand, and that's the clear. You can use any brand, I'm not telling you which brand to use. This just happens to be the one I can pick up quite easily, and that's what I do. And those are the ones I use. And with brushes, as I say, I would love to have some great waxing brushes, and I will in time, but right now I just use basically chippy cheap brushes to do my waxing. And I find for the detail, my smallest one is for the black, a little bit more feathered out I find for the brown, and then for the clear I get a big one. And then somewhere in between, I'm not using the white wax right now for this piece, but if I'm doing the white wax, I like kind of the brushes that are like, hold on, just this size, like half this. So the brush would be that size for the white, if I'm using white. So there you go with the brushes and the products. And as I say, this piece of furniture, the base, the doors, the top of it, and the shelves, I have done in a clear poly, just because those are going to be areas that people will be opening and closing the doors. The top part, people are going to be putting things on to display, and the shelves too. People are going to be using them for displays. So I have to poly on. So I won't need to use the clear wax, but I will go back in with the black and the antique wax to give it age. I just used the poly because I wanted it to be nice and sturdy for anybody putting anything on the shelves. So any piece of furniture that is well used, doors, handles, and then make sure you use a poly too, right? So there you go. Any questions, put them in the comments, and subscribe would be great. And there you go, that's a piece of furniture I'm going to be working on today, and when it's finished I will be displaying it, having fun with it, taking lots of pictures, and maybe even do a quick video of the finished product. And I'm enjoying this piece, so hopefully you enjoy it with me. Now usually with a huge hutch, what I've always done is separated the two pieces. So the bottom piece I sell like as a buffet, and I would sell it for about $180. And the top piece, depending on how big it is, I sell it as bookshelves. That's how I describe it. And I would sell it for about $150. But this actual particular hutch is going to be my first time selling as one whole unit. And so I'm going to be pretty much adding it together, and it's going to be for sale for $350 for this one. And considering it takes me not long, but it takes me a week to do. And the reason I do that is I do one coat of paint, the white linen, one day. It takes me a little while to get it all on there, and then I leave it overnight, and then the next day I'll go in and do the second coat, leave it overnight, and then the third day I will go in. And quite often, if I need to do a third coat, which on white, quite often on a piece of furniture, you do need to do a third coat, but not everywhere. There'll just be parts that you have to fill in, and I'll do that day. I will leave it again overnight, and then anywhere I'm doing the poly clear on it, I will then put that on and again leave it overnight. I know, yes, it is a great deal, that's for sure. I could probably sell it for more, but I actually sell locally only on Marketplace, and that's kind of the pricing of the area. So it is a lot of work, a lot of detail into a piece, but the reward is in the person enjoying it and putting it in their home. So that's the main thing. And as I say, I take out the glass and I put chicken wire in. And this particular one had two doors. I take the doors off because I want it open shelving. So I took the doors off. They looked like this. I did them last week, and I put the chicken wire in. I did the same texture on them, and I sell them as separate pieces for home decor, and they sold for $35 each. So out of one whole hutch, as I say, the hutch will be going for $350, and then the doors actually went for $35 each, and they've already sold, so that's gone. So yeah, so it takes a while. It's quite a few days, but it's not long in the days. You just do one coat, walk away, leave it to dry. Do the next coat, walk away, leave it to dry. And that's pretty much how I do it. And in between, I do small things. I do lives on Facebook and videos for YouTube, and get on with other things. But in the mornings, I will go in, put a coat of paint on, and it then has at least the whole day and that night to cure. So it works good. So that's how I do a piece of furniture. And any other questions? So as I say, this is not my usual time to come on, but I just wanted to show this. This is what I was working on right now, and it's been a little bit of an up and down week for me, so I never know what quite's going on. but I will try and get back to my usual routine next week. We'll see how it goes. But I will be back on Facebook Live on Monday at 4 p.m. And hopefully go from there, but we'll see. And all my times are Pacific Standard Time. I'm here in Canada, in the West Coast near Vancouver. I'm in a city called Chilliwack, and it's a rustic country farming little valley city that is amongst all the mountains, so it's a beautiful area. And all the things that I sell locally through Marketplace, but also you can see on my website, julieseverythingtreasures.com. You can see, well, hello Denise, you just come at the end here, but you'll be able to watch on replay. Everything that I sell is on my website on the for sale section, so you can actually go on my website, julieseverythingtreasures.com, and see what's for sale, but it's for local people only, as I don't do shipping. Anyway, just thought I'd pop on and kind of do this technique. As I say, I've been asked many times for people, how do you do that on a piece of furniture? And I have done this technique many times on different products, but I don't think I've actually shown it on a piece of furniture. So I thought while I'm doing it right now, I will pop on and show you. So there you go, and I'm a little bit of a hot mess because I am going to be doing this whole piece today. And I ended up even having to put my hair up today because everyone is going through the time of not being able to have their hair cut, and I'm finding a lot of loose hairs are going into my work, so I'm now even having to put my hair up to do the work. But anyway, there you go. That's how I do the waxing, and what I do is I do it like I'm painting a picture. I just go in with the brushes and I have fun with shadowing. That's how I do it. And I just do layer after layer, and again, if you're not liking what you've done, rub it off and just do it again. And then it takes a good 3 days for the wax to, I wouldn't say cure, but to be able to at least put stuff on it, to show it, to sell it. But it takes a good 3 months to cure it. So when if you're selling before that 3 months to anyone, or if you're using it yourself in your own home before the 3 months, just let the person know that it's still got a 3-month curing, which means don't put anything heavy duty, cleaners especially, but don't rub it down for a good 3 months. Do a light dusting. But generally I've had no problems. After the 3 days it's usually dry enough to play around and just display it nicely. So thanks for watching, and as I say, if you want to hit subscribe button, then do that, and thanks again, and I will see you again next week. This is Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and have a great day. Thank you.